As you can see here, we have a list of products, and down at the bottom we have some pagination links to go to the other pages to list the other results. But wouldn't it be kind of cool if we implemented some kind of endless page scrolling, where when your scroll bar got near the bottom of the page, it would automatically load some more results using some Ajax? Well, there are a couple of plugins out there that can help you do this, but I'm just going to show you how to do it from scratch in this episode. As you can see in this episode, it won't be that hard to do. If we take a look at our controller, you can see that I'm using the will paginate gem here for handling the pagination. So I'm just calling paginate on our product model and passing the page and the per page limit. I'm actually not going to alter this controller at all through this entire episode because it does exactly what we want. We still need to have pagination implemented. We just don't want to use the links here. We want to use Ajax to update the results and add more to the results. And the index view for that action is equally simple. It's just listing all the products inside of this products div here, and we just have the will paginate links. So I'm just going to remove these links to start us off because we want to use Ajax here in JavaScript instead. So we first need to add some JavaScript. So I'm going to just make a new file in here under public JavaScripts, and we'll just add one called endlesspage.js. And we just need to add some JavaScript into here. Now what we want this script to do is to periodically check to see if the scroll bar is near the bottom of the page. And if it is, we need to send an Ajax request to fetch more products to display in the list. So I'm just going to paste some code in here so you don't have to watch me type it entirely. And it's actually a very simple JavaScript. This check scroll method the function is really the key here. And what this does is if the scroll bar is near the bottom of the page, it just increments the current page number and then just sends a URL request fetching that specific page. So it's just fetching again the same index action that you saw before. And then here we're doing a method as a get so that we aren't trying to create a post product here. We're just fetching some results. And then if it's not near the bottom of the page, we just run this check scroll function again in 250 milliseconds. So this will just run 4 times a second. Of course, you can change this number to whatever you want or feel comfortable with. Now this near bottom of page function, this just checks if the bottom of the scroll area is less than 150 pixels from the bottom. So if you have a tall footer, then you'll probably want to change this, bump the number up a little bit. But you can adjust this to your heart's content, basically. It's pretty simple. Okay, and back inside our index view, we can just load that JavaScript. I'm going to use a JavaScript helper function here. This just accepts any kind of arguments and passes them along into the layout and loading JavaScript files inside of there, so we don't have to specify it directly inside of the layout file. Anyway, we're just going to pass defaults because it requires prototype, and I haven't loaded that in the layout. And it also needs to load the endless page JavaScript we just made. Now currently this HTML template is the only template for this index action, so that's the only one that's going to be rendered in response to the product's request. So we need to make an RJS template in here instead, in addition to this one, so that it actually responds to JavaScript as well. So inside of our products view, we can just make an RJS file in here. Let's call it index.js.rjs, and then just add some RJS code in here. So what we want it to do is call page.insert HTML to the bottom of the products div inside of our index file. And then we just want to render the partial of the products partial. So this will just loop through all the products and render a partial for each one of those. And then lastly, because we want to, if there are more results, results inside of our list here, more pages basically, then we want to re-trigger that check scroll method. So I can call page.call and check scroll. And this will re-trigger that JavaScript function there. And only if the products.total pages is less than the products.current page. Actually, not less than, greater than. So that way there's more pages there. We need to run the check scroll function again. So that way when it detects again the browser scrolls near the bottom of the page, then it re-triggers this RJS. Okay, so back inside of our browser, let's try this out. Reload here, and then if we start scrolling near the bottom of the page, it adds more results here. And it just keeps on adding results to the list as we scroll down further. This makes an endless page of results. And it finally ended, so it stopped making the request because it knew there was no more pages to display. Very cool. As you can see, this was very, very easy to set up. Now, once this is on a remote server, it probably won't be quite as responsive. It might take a couple seconds for the AJAX to respond. So it'd be nice to give some kind of loading message while the more results are being loaded. So we can do that very easily by just, let's make an ID here. Let's call it loading. And then I'm just going to say loading more page results. But of course you can add any kind of image graphic here if you want, like maybe a little spinning graphic wheel. Okay, and then in our index page, in our index RJS file, here instead of just running the check scroll, let's make this a little more complicated, where we can, if once the pages are all done, we can hide that that loading div. So just say loading.hide, and that's all there is to it. Let's try it out. So back on our browser in that index action, you can see when we scroll down to the bottom, it says loading more page results, but then once the request enters in, then it disappears. And then at the end, once all the results are loaded, it just hides it entirely. So that's just an easy way to make some endless page scrolling so you no longer have these tedious pagination links. It's not always the best choice for every single site, but I think it's just a cool trick, and it's really not that complicated to do with Rails and how convenient it is with RJS. Now just a little disclaimer here, I've only tested this JavaScript inside of Firefox and Safari. So if you need to support other browsers, make sure you thoroughly test those as well. And I can almost guarantee that it won't work in Internet Explorer without some fiddling. But I hope you found this episode helpful, and I encourage you to just try this out and see if it works for your application. One more thing is that if you are using older versions of Rails than 2.1, then you may have a little problem here with requesting the JavaScript request. It might try to interpret it as HTML, so you might need to add the JavaScript extension here in the URL. And you also might need to, inside of the pages, the products controller, is add a respond to block here. And then say that you accept the HTML and the JavaScript formats. Try those just in case you don't find this works. But I find in Rails 2.1 you don't need this functionality. It automatically knows that it's supposed to be a JavaScript request. This episode is sponsored by Pragmatic Screencasts. There you'll find high-quality screencasts on a variety of subjects, including Ruby and Rails. Check them out at pragmatic.tv.